Welcome to English Podcasts with Chris
and Sue. Hi, Sue.
Hi there, Chris.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of English Podcasts. I'm Chris, and today we're diving into some exciting grammar, some advanced ways to express the past in English.
That's right. And hi, I'm Sue. And in this episode, it's going to be perfect for all you advanced learners who want to polish up your storytelling and bring your English skills really to the next level. And also stay tuned till the very end where we're going to do a little quiz, a test to see what you've learned. So don't miss out on that.
Yeah, we're going beyond the basics today. We'll talk about everything from advanced past tenses to using past modals, mixed conditionals, and some really interesting ways to show subtle shades of time and meaning in the past.
That's right. So it's going to be a packed episode full of grammar. So grab your headphones, but of course relax, and get ready to unlock the full potential of your past tense expressions. So, segment 1, let's look at the past simple versus past perfect. Are you ready, Chris?
All right, let's start with a refresher, but with a twist. How the past simple and past perfect can be used together in more advanced ways. By now you probably know the basics, but we want to dig deeper into how these two interact together.
Okay, so let me help here. So yes, we use the past simple for finished actions in the past. But when we're talking about an action that happened before a past event, we need to use past perfect. For example, when I arrived, they had already started the meeting.
Exactly. Notice that it or had already started tells us that the meeting was in progress before I arrived. The past perfect's like the past of the past, and it's super helpful when you're trying to organise events chronologically, especially in storytelling.
Exactly. And another thing to keep in mind is the subtle use of the past perfect when we're narrating a flashback. For example, if you're telling a long story and you flash back to an earlier event, using the past perfect just once at the beginning signals that you're going back in time. After that, you can switch back to the simple past, just like this example. I walked into the room and it reminded me of the day when we had first met. We talked for hours.
Great point. The past perfect sets up the flashback, but you don't need to keep using it once you're in the flow of the story.
Yes, it's all about painting a clear picture of the sequence of events. So, advanced learners, focus on mastering these time signals in your storytelling. So, segment 2, past continuous and the past perfect continuous.
Now let's talk about past continuous and past perfect continuous. Two forms that add depth to your stories.
We use the past continuous to talk about actions that were ongoing at a specific time in the past. Think of it as a way to show that an action was in progress. For example, I was reading when the doorbell rang.
The past perfect continuous takes that idea a step further, showing an ongoing action that was happening before another event in the past. For example, I had been reading for 2 hours when the doorbell rang.
Yes, it adds more detail. It's not just that you were reading at a specific moment, it's that you had been reading for a longer time before something else happened. You can also use it to show the duration of an action before another event. So, they had been working on the project for weeks before they finally finished it.
So, how do we know when to use the past continuous versus the past perfect continuous? If you want to focus on a specific point in the past, you go for past continuous. But if the focus is on how long something has been happening before something else, use the past perfect continuous.
Okay, so I think it's time for a little quiz, Chris. Okay, so how would you complete this sentence? Okay, when I saw him, he, the verb, to run for an hour.
That would be had been running for an hour because we're focusing on the duration before I saw him.
Perfect. So that's the difference. How long something was happening before the past event. So now, segment 3, using modals to express the past.
Now let's switch gears and talk about using modals to express the past. This is where English gets really fun and a bit tricky because you can convey a lot of nuance.
Right. Modals like could have, would have, and should have allow us to talk about possibilities, hypothetical situations, or even regrets in the past. For example, I should have studied harder for that exam. This expresses regret. While another sentence, I could have gone to the party, shows a possibility that didn't happen.
Exactly. And let's not forget would have. It's perfect for talking about things that were expected to happen but didn't. I would have helped you, but I didn't know you needed it.
Oh, Chris. Anyway, these modals are fantastic for expressing those what if scenarios, situations that never actually happened but could have. Think about it like this. Could have means there was a possibility. Should have implies it was the right thing to do. And would have talks about a hypothetical outcome.
Okay, let's give our listeners some practice with this. I'll give you a scenario and you can think of the right modal to use. Ready?
Ready.
Here's the first one. I didn't bring an umbrella and now I'm soaked. I
hope you listeners thought of should have. That's the correct answer. You should have bought one.
Because it was raining. Okay, here's another. She didn't call me, but she known I was waiting.
Okay. Could have. She could have known, but we don't know for sure.
One last one. If I'd known about the meeting, I gone.
Okay, listeners, the answer is would have. I would have gone. Hi, let's move on to segment 5. Okay? Spoken quiz. Okay, folks, let's try this one. Okay, we've got 10 questions to test what you've learnt today. Are you ready?
So we'll ask each question, then give you a moment to answer. Let's see how much you've picked up.
Okay, here we go. What's the past perfect of the form of to go? Chris, the answer?
Had gone.
Absolutely.
Complete this sentence. When I arrived, they start the meeting. Do you know the answer?
Yes, I'm going to say had started.
Okay, when I arrived, they had started the meeting. What's the difference between past continuous and past perfect continuous?
Now, this requires a little bit of thought, but an answer could be past continuous describes an ongoing action at a specific point in the past, whereas past perfect continuous describes an action that was ongoing before another past action.
Okay, so which modal would you use? Use for expressing regret about the past.
Easy one for me, this one. Should have.
Okay, complete this sentence. She, brackets can, called me, but she didn't.
The answer could have.
She could have called me, but she didn't. Create a mixed conditional. If I study harder, I be more successful now.
This is a classic sentence. If I had studied harder, I would be more successful now.
True or false? We use would have to describe something that happened in the past.
False. Would have described something that could have happened, but didn't.
Which tense would you use for an action that was in progress before another action in the past?
Let's have a think. The answer being past perfect continuous.
Okay, complete this sentence. If she not be busy, she come to the party.
You might need to think about this one. The answer If she wasn't busy, she would have come to the party.
And what's the past simple form of to run?
I think we know this one quickly. Ran. So great job, everyone. How did you do?
Whether you got them all or just a few, don't worry. Practice makes perfect. Thanks for joining us today on this deep dive into expressing the past in English. And if you had quite a few wrong in the quiz, why not go back and listen again?
Absolutely. Don't forget to keep practicing. And the more you use these advanced forms, the more natural they'll feel.
Catch you next time at English Podcasts.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone. Keep on practicing.
We hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Join us again at english-podcasts.com and subscribe to our podcasts on iTunes. And if you have an idea for a podcast or a blog, please get in contact with us through the site at english-podcasts.com.